Welcome to this presentation about the SQA 2021 process. We hope this presentation will give you some information about how class teachers will arrive at provisional results this year and about the processes surrounding this year's alternative certification model. First of all, we'd like to welcome back all our students to school. It's really good to see them in the building and learning. And we know that our 4, 5 and 6 are aware that they're coming back to a busy term, but we really want to take time to reassure them that support will be put in place to help them move forward through this term as we start to gather evidence for the SQA this year. This presentation has been shared with all learners in S4, S5 and S6 to help them develop an understanding of this year's alternative certification model. In October of last year, the Scottish Government announced that National 5 exams would be cancelled, closely followed by exams at higher and advanced higher level. The SQA has produced an alternative certification model this year to guide schools on how to gather evidence to help them arrive at provisional results. These terms will be explained later in the presentation. This means that this year, candidates will not be sitting final exams. Rather than sitting high-stakes one-off exams, we will gather evidence that shows performance from across the revised courses. At the start of this year, the SQA revised National 5 higher and advanced higher courses in line with the fact that some pupils around the country may be self-isolating because of COVID-19 and the fact that time may be reduced in schools. So this year, class teachers will gather evidence across these revised courses. It's really important to reiterate and reassure you that this in no way changes the value of the qualifications gained this year. A National 5 higher or advanced higher qualification gained this year carries exactly the same weighting as National 5 higher and advanced higher gathered in previous years. All evidence that goes towards the provisional grade will be gathered in class time. Crucially though, if a learner underperforms against where their performance normally sits, then the class teacher will look to gather evidence in other ways. So, how will the school help your learners? Well, staff will support learners to get their best performance. We want to absolutely ensure that the evidence that we gather is of the best possible evidence for your young person that we can get. And we'll look for other opportunities where we can. Class teachers will be engaging in learner conversations with young people about what they need to do to improve and give feedback. And we've reiterated with young people that they need to take the time to go away and to reflect on that feedback and act on it. If class teachers have not engaged in those conversations, then learners can also go and ask their class teachers for help and ask for information about what they need to do to improve. If a learner is entitled to assessment arrangements for formal exams, then they are entitled to assessment arrangements when evidence is being gathered in class time. Mr. Duncan will be confirming with learners what assessment arrangements they are entitled to, and we will share that with parents and carers as well. Those who have separate accommodation and extra time will not set any assessments or gathering evidence opportunities in classes. As we're gathering that evidence in class time as part of classwork, if they're entitled to extra time, then a class may be coming into that class after, and so they'll maybe use the hall or another room if they're entitled to separate accommodation or extra time. We are aware that young people have an idea that they're coming into a busy term in terms of evidence gathering. So currently we're gathering together the dates of when evidence will be gathered, when we would like to gather that evidence, and we will share that with you. We'll give a paper copy to learners in PSHE where they will be able to highlight their own assessments, and we'll share that with yourselves as parents and carers as well. We've reiterated with young people that they really need to make good use of their time in this term and have conversations with teachers about what needs to be done to help progress their learning. And also that it's really, really important that they ask for help if they're struggling, and our teachers will do their best to support them if they need that help. Throughout the process of this term, young people need to have an understanding of what level they're currently performing at. At the moment, we are asking teachers to update their current working grade on where learners are at the very start of term. This working grade will be updated next week and will be shared with your parents and carers. The working grade will be updated a further 2 points throughout the course of this term. The further 2 points that happen later in the term will be based on the evidence that we have gathered from your child. These will then be shared with you as parents and carers. There are two really important terms that we need to share with you and with young people this year. The first is moderation. Inbuilt into the system this year is a process called moderation. That process is basically a check of marking to make sure that the marking is to standard and also that it is resulting in fair for the young person. Teachers will mark their work in the usual way, but may not share the final grade of that piece of work right away. That's because marking will be sampled and will go through this process of moderation. This year, there is an expectation that schools will engage in internal moderation, so work will be checked by other teachers in school, and work will be sampled and moderated between schools in Fife. So teachers will share examples of work and it will be marked, cross-marked and checked by other teachers, many of whom have SQA experience, by other teachers in Fife. In a small number of cases, work may be moderated by the SQA at a national level. This may mean that in some cases there may be a slight delay in getting marks back to young people as it is going through the moderation process. It's important to know that this moderation process is a required part of the process this year and has to happen. The other term that's important to know is provisional result. We are aiming as a school to create a provisional result, and this in almost all cases will be their final working grade that they receive. I said in almost all cases there, and that is because the SQA may be moderating on a small number of cases some examples of work and engaging in conversations with myself and Mrs. Smart about grades, and we may need to go back and revise some of our provisional results based on feedback from that moderation process. That provisional result will be provided by the school and it will be submitted to the SQA. It's really important that we emphasise with our young people and with you that this year is different. We'll all be familiar with phrases like algorithm and the SQA algorithm that was used last year. And it's important to know that there is no algorithm being used by the SQA this year. There is also no inferred attainment as there was last year. The alternative certification model being used by the SQA and by schools across Scotland is different to that was used last year and is based solely on demonstrated attainment of young people. I hope that this presentation has given you some information about the processes we will be putting in place this term with our S4, 5 and 6. And as always, if you have questions, we are going to be holding a question and answer session for parents and carers on Tuesday the 4th of May at night, and we would invite you all to come along to that to ask any questions that you may have. Thank you.